listening to AstroDetectives, where longtime friends Scott and Sarah try to debunk
or prove
the ancient practice of astrology.
I'm Sarah Hartshorn, the astrologer.
And I'm Scott Randall, the skeptic. Each episode, I'll give Sarah two natal charts. One chart matches the exact moment of birth for our mystery guest, and the other is just a red herring.
I'll use astrology to detect which chart belongs to our guest. And with a little help from my underground network of AstroDetectives, this case is as good as solved.
Oh, we'll see about that. Hey everybody, it's AstroDetectives time. Welcome once again. I am your resident skeptic, outnumbered on this show once again. But we have our favorite astrologer, Sarah. How's it going?
It's going good. It is stormy here, though, so there is a chance that I could fall offline for a bit. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but I am an Aquarius rising, so I think lightning is attracted to me.
I want to like supercut of all the little nuggets of like, I'm a blank, which means blank, and just look for all of the little like combinations of things that a sign means, and then go back and test them all. We're going to be like, is lightning attracted to Aquarius risings? Let's find out.
Well, I'm always dealing with frizzy hair, so.
What we did is we put a bunch of different rising signs in a field during a thunderstorm.
Oh, God, no, I don't want to try that. I don't.
To see which one got struck by lightning. Well, Sarah, hopefully you can power through, but if you're offline for a little bit, it's going to be fine because this week you have backup once again to help out, an astrologer to carry the load with you. Connection and storm, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever happens with the weather, we're covered with some astrology. So who we got this week?
Yes, we have our lovely returning astrologer from Colorado, Lindsay DePerry, France. I almost said Denver, but I know it's Boulder, right?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And
okay.
We just had our first snow this morning. So it's the first time there's there's snow on the Flatirons and on the mountain range.
I don't know. So. Outside, it looks very green to me on your beautiful floor-to-ceiling windows in your background.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes. Those in my office. So yeah.
If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see everybody's backgrounds. Sarah's keeping it real. Sarah's got her real background going on. I am orbiting Earth because I'm trying to get as in touch as I can with astrology. And for me, I have to take a little bit of a step outside of our atmosphere to look back on Earth with a little bit of perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, every time I try and change my background, my computer overloads and shuts down. I don't know if it's related, but I'm just trying to, not make that happen.
Don't do it then. I'm in support of that decision.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have been poring over these two birthdays. We should just say birthdays at this point because it's the charts, but it's also the dates which are used for transits and all sorts of stuff. Because we started the show where you would just look at a chart, but it's not just two birth charts. It's two birth dates and times.
Well, I mean, we're looking at two birth charts, but we can... we might look at some other types of charts in addition to their birth chart, like their solar return and different things like that. I definitely dove into those this time.
All right.
For sure. Yeah. So, and just a reminder, if anybody wants to play along and look at the charts that we're looking at, just go to astrodetectivespod.com and download the case files for this episode. What are we on now? 53?
This, I believe, is 53, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes. And so this week we have a Gemini sun with a Libra rising and an Aries moon versus a Pisces sun with a Cancer rising and a moon in Capricorn. And it's interesting too, because the Gemini sun is at 29 degrees, which is the very last degree of a sign. Lindsay, do you have any thoughts on that?
On the karmic completion degree.
Yes.
29th degree.
The anaretic degree.
The anaretic degree. Yeah, I mean, it's a very potent expression of that sign energy. It can be sort of, very ripe, very rich. But also I do look at cusps. So I will look at also the incoming impressions or some expressions of the next sign, in this case, Cancer, starting to come in as well.
Okay. Sarah and I have had some conversations about cusps. Sarah is not into cusps.
I'm very into cusps.
Well, I mean, in the case of the anaretic degree, it kind of plays into that, I think. But in general, I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the sort of dividing lines. It's one of the different techniques, different approaches. I have maybe 5 placements in the first 5 degrees of Sagittarius, and I feel my Scorpio influence. I feel my Scorpio energy.
It's like strongly. You get a bonus sign if you're on a cusp.
Yeah,
I'm on a cusp, and you know what? I love having a bonus sign where I can reach across into Capricorn and be like, yeah, I got some of those traits.
Well, and you do have a planet in Capricorn, Scott. So, but yeah, I would say so. So as far as these 2 charts go, we've got a Gemini versus a Pisces here, and on their survey intake form, they said that as far the question that we ask, if you were in a situation where you didn't know anybody, how comfortable would you be being social? Mm-hmm. And they said 10 out of 10. Mm-hmm. And that question really stood out to me because, I guess for that reason, I'm feeling like more the Gemini Libra rising chart and Aries, because all those signs, Gemini, Aries, Libra, are very more socially oriented. Whereas in our other chart, we have a Pisces sun with a Cancer rising. Cancer risings are notoriously kind of like a little bit more shy or reserved. Plus they have Cancer there in their first house. They have Saturn there in their first house, which adds to like being a little bit more reserved. And a Capricorn moon is not necessarily like the most comfortable with being like very open and expressive. So just that question alone, I'm already kind of like leaning towards our Gemini chart. How about you, Lindsay?
I was definitely, that question definitely stood out to me. 10 out of 10, being in a room full of people you don't know. It seems like definitely a noteworthy response. So I was also leaning towards the Gemini chart, partly for that reason. And, we'll have a few things to look for in the conversation that comes up.
So we're not ready to lock in our votes yet?
No, but I always I think it's probably good to say just like which way I'm leaning at the beginning. But you never know. That can all change once we see their face and hear their answers.
That's
and Sarah,
right.
you and I were aligned there as well.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Well, so the main differences we are going to be looking for is that shyness versus personable, or are there other areas that we're going to try and look for that are the most different between the 2 birth dates?
Yes, Scott, there will be other areas.
But, I'm always like asking the differences that are the biggest, because sometimes it's like, it looks like they both had a pretty good childhood, or they both had relatively good, relationship with money or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like, all right, our Gemini person, they have their chart ruler in the 10th house in whole sign. And so this person career, plus they have their chart ruler right on their midheaven, their sun's there too. There's so much emphasis on this person's career. So, or public reputation or legacy, things like that. So I would feel like that might be a very career-oriented person. Career would be extremely important to them. Whereas our Pisces person, their chart ruler is the moon in Capricorn in the 7th whole sign house, right on the descendant. And so there's something about partnerships, one-on-one relationships, or marriage that is such a huge theme in their life, how they like relate to other people in a one-on-one relationship would be a huge theme. So those are kind of like emerging themes that I might be looking for.
Meaning they would relate to a person in a one-on-one relationship in a certain way, or that they just enjoy one-on-one relationships more than group relationships?
So I personally believe like astrology can show you what you're here to work on. So I feel like someone who has a moon in Capricorn in the 7th house is really here to do a lot of work on marriage or business partnerships or one-on-one, how they interact with like maybe a very close friend, just like wherever it's like an intimate one-on-one partnership. There's a lot of maybe work that they need to do there, or a lot of emphasis that will be placed there in their life. Versus this other person, there's something about their career that is just so intertwined with their identity. Whereas the other person might over-identify with relationships. It's
career
hard to,
versus relationships.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, we got something to work with, and everybody at home, go to AstroDetectivesPod.com, download those 2 charts. Sarah, I could tell, did you blow up the charts really big on 2 different screens? Because I could see you look from one side to the next side as you're going from camera to camera. I'm always curious about
yes.
your work strategy.
Okay, so I'm doing Zoom on my laptop, but to not overburden my laptop, I have a giant computer screen behind my laptop with the charts on it. But right in the middle, I have my podcast light and I have to like put them on either side. So it's kind of a strange setup.
Lindsay, do you have 2 big blown up charts too?
I'm toggling. I'm split screen and I'm toggling.
Keep it on different tabs so you're not looking at them at the same time. Give them each their 100% focus. I have like
my little hot buttons, so I can just kind of key and go back and forth between the 2 very quickly. And then I've got my notes here.
Well, you guys may not believe it, but I do not have any charts up. But luckily, that's not part of my job. If we got it all covered for what we're going to be looking for, we'll take a little break and be right back with our guest and see which birth date belongs to them. Hey, listeners, we're not just a podcast that tests astrology. We're an independent detective agency. That means we rely on you to help us keep the show running.
Exactly. By joining Astro Detectives on Patreon, you can support our mission to finally prove astrology is real.
Or, completely debunk it.
Here we go again.
One thing we can agree on, Astro Detectives is the only place you'll find astrologers and skeptics working together, like a buddy cop movie you didn't know you needed.
And trust me, detective work takes time, gathering evidence, late night stakeouts, solving cases, especially when Mercury's retrograde.
Okay, you can't blame Mercury.
The first step is easy and free. Just follow Astro Detectives on Patreon to get access to our debrief episodes where the conversation continues after each case ends. We break down what went right and what went wrong.
And if you want to fast track your training, become a rookie detective for only $3 a month. You'll unlock exclusive bonus episodes, plus early releases and the top secret case files sent straight to your inbox.
Or for just $1 a month, we'll make you an Astro intern. No compensation per se, but hey, you'll gain valuable detective experience and that warm, fuzzy feeling knowing you're helping us keep the lights on.
So if you like what we're doing and want to support us, head over to patreon.com/astrodetectives and join the investigation today. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with our guest, Hameedah. Welcome to Astro Detectives.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We're very happy to have you. It's always fun to have someone who I know in real life, too, because Sarah printed out these beautiful Astro Detectives business cards, and now whenever we're talking sometimes and I'm making, friends or connections, I'll hand out the little business cards. I don't remember if you got one or if I was just telling you.
No, you gave me one.
Okay. How about that design, huh?
You know what? I will have to pull it up, but it was really cool because it stood out, because you can get so many business cards, but the ones that stand out are the ones that I tend to hold on to.
what a compliment. Thank you so much.
It's double-sided. It's got the skeptic side and the astrologer side on the back.
And fancy.
And fancy. Well, Hameedah, we are here to test astrology, and thank you for being here as our test subject. We're going to have some fun. The place we always start, what do you happen to be wearing today, and do you have any tattoos?
I have tattoos, yes.
Can you, if any of them are especially meaningful, can you maybe talk about one or two?
Actually, they all are. My most recent one is the Eye of Horus, and it's on the back of my neck.
Eye of what?
Horus is Kismet, Egyptian. Eye of Horus.
Ah.
Any special significance to that?
It just resonates with me, and I've never considered myself to be like a religious person, but I do consider myself to be spiritual. And all of the stories, if you really look back into different religions, it originates from Kemet. And it's really cool looking.
Yeah. I like it.
That's the most important thing with a tattoo. And then what do you have on today? Comfort or just going out or?
Oh my gosh. So comfort is ending the workday. And yeah, I was like, oh, should I dress? Nah, I just want to be comfortable. I feel like if I were like to get like fully dressed up and stuff, I'd be so worried about how I look. I'd rather just relax and just answer the questions.
Exactly. So kind of casual, looks like a t-shirt or something, and casual.
Yeah, it's just like a little, it's kind of like a thermal type material, blue and white stripe,
but
probably Target or something.
But it is fashion and apparel like kind of important to you, or dressing up?
It is important to me. It's important to me. I don't live for it. I tend to prefer classic fashion because it stays in style. I don't really get into the trends. Like the hip jeans that were the waist jeans. Yeah, that was never, I was always team mom jeans, I didn't get into, what was the Von Dutch craze? I just don't get into the whole fads. Like I like Chanel, her classic, you can wear it all the time. It never goes out of style. So that's pretty much, I kind of stick to basic colors somewhat because of that, because you can wear it at any time. Or solid colors, not basic, but solid colors.
Okay.
Well, YouTubers may notice that I started this show wearing a comfy little blue cardigan, but then I thought, you know what? I need to be dressed up a little bit. So I changed into a vibrant shirt to really bring some color to the screen.
I like it.
Thank you. I'd never wear it. It's one of those that sits in the back of the closet. All right. Moving on to you and not my shirt. For work, what is kind of like, what kind of work do you tend to be drawn to? And then what do you currently do? And, kind of what is that like?
So I love technology. However, I'm in mortgage and real estate, and I'm drawn to that. I get to help people and earn a decent living while doing so. And I assist people with, a lot of times, with climbing the social economic ladder through real estate and investing. So sales, basically, it's a people type thing. You have to be a good listener for that. So I find myself drawn to that. Technology, sometimes when I get a little burnt out from people, I need to feel like I need to recharge. I miss technology where I could just work with the machine, but I'm always drawn back because I can't help it. It's like I could be in a nail salon and I'll hear someone, speaking of moving or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, did you know that this is a great option? I try to help people educate themselves to make the best decision possible for themselves. So I can't shut my mouth, basically, when it comes to it.
Well, and that reminds me of how I feel when we were both working, selling solar. and let's see if this could benefit you, and let's see if we could make this work out.
And that's really it. Just explaining the benefits and allowing people to make the best decision possible for them.
And I guess, was that always the case, through if you look back on all of your working years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My very first job, I think I can say my very first, babysitting. I think, we've all done that at some point. Babysitting, and then it went into the fast food industry, and it went directly into, I was management, sales. Yeah, it's been that. Thanks for making me think about that.
Yeah. So were you the kid, or, growing up, you always seemed to be able to, convince somebody of something, or be able to explain something a little bit better?
So it's funny because my siblings and my mother, they're pretty shy. And I'm pretty much a 180 of that. Like, I have some things that I am shy about, and people can't believe it, but yeah, they're pretty soft-spoken. Well, yeah, soft-spoken, shy. They don't prefer not to get up in front of a crowd. My middle sister has been doing that a lot more, getting in front of crowds and speaking. But yeah, they're more reserved. I'm not at all.
Can you tell us kind of how your friends and family would describe you?
I'm everywhere all the time. So I guess they would say I'm like Google. Because anytime I have a question or want some information, or how was this done, how was that done, it's me. I want to start an LLC. Oh, you just do this, that, and the third. Or you just go to this website. Oh, I was looking for that. Oh, that's right there. Just go do this. Or, you know what I mean? I have a plethora of knowledge in my brain running around, and it keeps me up at night, because it's like the Da Vinci Code, and I'm trying to just relax my brain, So yeah, if I can make a living with all of the useless knowledge in my brain, I'd be rich.
You just got to keep digging. There's something in there.
Oh my God. It's like, yeah. But I'm the go-to person.
Well, and AI is trying to creep into your territory a little bit.
Trust me, they won't go to AI. That's the problem. That's the problem. I'm like, the internet has the same information. And my mom would say, well, why would I do that when I have you?
There was this link that you could send people that was, let me Google that for you. And it was just kind of like letting somebody know, I'm going to answer your question, but I'm going to send you a link that takes you to the Google results for the question you were asking.
I remember it was someone that was saying for me with a little while. She was on the internet, and she was staying in my apartment. I walk into my apartment, and she's on the internet, and she asked me, how hot is the sun? I'm like, I don't know. You're right there on the computer. Look it up. Instead, it didn't register for her to look that information up. She was on there reading gossip columns, gossip information, but wouldn't ask me how hot the sun is. Like, come on now. You know what I mean? Like, it's right there at your fingertips. It's called WWW, World Wide Web, Yeah. So, yeah. That one lives rent free in my brain.
Just flip that one. Ask the internet about the sun and give me the gossip. Okay, how do you handle difficult emotions, whether it's anger, frustration, sadness, the processing of it?
I was, up until recently, I would eat my emotions. I would eat my feelings. I would eat how I felt. I would eat all of that. And I didn't realize I was doing that until I realized I was doing that. And once I realized I was doing that, I was able to seek, help and therapy and so forth to get to the root of those things and process them in a better way. So now I journal a lot. I write it out. I write letters, to the person that cut me off on a fucking 110. I hope you have diarrhea for a week. You know what I mean? Just things like that. You know, and I just get it out. I don't hold it in anymore. And I mean, instead of me eating that, I was able to get that out. You know, maybe that person will get it out for a week too. You know, but yeah.
I love that. And you can use any words you want to on this podcast. We want people to be themselves.
Okay, perfect. Because we're like a trucker. Okay.
I noticed there's a little self-censoring going on there.
I like just on that, I'm curious, do you have have you had feelings of road rage a lot, or do you have kind of a quick temper?
Oh my God. My temper was really, it was really bad. I got help for that. And yeah, I would end up in fights because of my temper. And I realized it was because I would hold back so much, and then I finally would just pop. You know what I mean? So yeah, I used to have up until, I want to say, let's see, about 10 years ago. No, actually almost 20 years ago. I really got a hold of my temper.
That was a while ago. That was pretty early on.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
You know, but I was slim.
It can take people a long time to get over to work through
Well,
their
I didn't
stuff.
hold it in back then either. So yes.
For childhood upbringing, what kind of a kid were you? What was childhood like for you?
If I were to answer for my mom, I was the problem child. If I were to answer for me, I was just misunderstood shit because I like to see the world. I'm adventurous. I'm outgoing. And again, like I said, my mom is not really that. She's more reserved. And I spent a lot of time taking care of my sisters, whereas I didn't have time to be the child that I wanted to be. So I had responsibilities since just right after I came out of the womb, I had responsibilities. I mean, not just take out the trash and wash the dishes. It was like, get your sisters ready for school, help them for the homework, you know what I mean? Clean up, cook, things like that. Like I was running a home my entire life. Sorry, my dog sat on the remote.
That's understandable.
Thanks, dude. Sorry. So yeah, I decided that now is my childhood, basically. So it was that we were fortunate in a lot of ways, My mom instilled some very, great qualities and values in us and so forth, work ethic and et cetera. It's just, I would have liked to have more of a childhood, do more extracurricular activities and things like that. I had to get straight home. Like right after I got off my school bus, I had to go to my sister's school bus and pick them up, so it was that type thing.
Mm-hmm. And you were the oldest, which is why you kind of had to take care of everybody?
Yes.
All right. And what kind of work did your mom do? You said that she was
So she retired from Los Angeles Unified School District. She retired in the transportation department and higher management. She retired. Actually, both of my parents retired out of their city retirement. So they're retired right now. When you work for the city, you get to retire early. So like around 55 or so, so yeah.
Oh man.
I'd be
getting there. Go ahead.
Is that what she was doing when you were growing up? She was working for the city?
We're not from Los Angeles, We're from a small town in the Midwest. And so I came here the very last time the Olympics was here. That's when we moved here. And when she first moved here, that was basically her job. And that was the job that she had all the way through till she retired. I remember going to her retirement and I got a little emotional because I'm like, she kept this job all these years to make sure I was okay. So it was I had a moment.
Aw. And your dad too? What's he
My
like?
biological father is still back in where we're from. That you can have a whole nother show about that one. We
Does he
don't,
know his birth time?
huh?
Does he know
Right,
his birth time? We'll have him on.
right. I mean, if you can find them, but yeah, we don't have a relationship. There's some, I would say, pretty severe psychological issues there. And I hadn't had communication with him since I was 4-ish, you know what I mean, around that. Um, and then about maybe 10 years ago, I got in contact with him, and it wasn't like a Lifetime movie where violins started playing and stuff like that. It was a shit show. So I was like, yeah, it's better I not. So yeah, we don't have, but my stepdad is amazing.
Can you talk a little bit about him? What's he
I
like?
mean, he's the a perfect person in the world. Like, he is awesome. He's great. But when it comes to listening, I don't know if it's a guy thing or just a him thing, but he just hears, I guess, like Charlie Brown's teacher, where we talk womp, 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 and then he'll answer something. And it's like, what are you talking about? But he's a great guy. Him and my mom, they kind of balance each other out. My mom is somewhat neurotic. My dad is like so chill, you know what I mean? Like, he's like ambient, So yeah, I adore him. My life changed for the better a lot when he came around. It took a lot of responsibility off of me also.
Moving along to romantic partners. What kind of people are you, drawn to? What do you look for in a partner?
Oh my God. So what I discovered recently is I look for broken people. I'm attracted to broken people. I just recently learned that basically my last 3 relationships were with addicts. My husband of 10 years was an alcoholic. He succumbed to his alcoholism. And I wasn't in a dating scene for some time. And then as soon as I get back in, and the very first person I end up with, I find out he's an addict. I get out of that situation. The very next person I get with, find out he's an addict. So right now, I'm not seeing anyone. I need to bring it together and look within, because I'm the constant, you know what I mean, and all of it. And with me doing research and so forth, yeah, I am. I'm codependent. I feel like I wasn't like that before my husband. I really think being with him, like, really formed me into being a codependent unknowingly, because when he would fall off, I would just have to pick up and keep going. So yeah, I've had challenging. I have challenges in relationships.
Yeah, we've had people mention codependency on here before. What does that mean to you in terms of like that
Oh my God,
relationship?
it sucks. So codependency is basically a person who is addicted to putting people before them. A codependent is a person that is, they will love at the cost of themselves. And part of it is my childhood growing up. I was responsible for my sisters and so forth. So that was my role in life. And then I also learned that, I confuse codependency with independency. It's not, it's not, it's us codependents. We get so focused on fixing our partners where we don't focus where we need to be fixed. And we think we're doing the right thing, but we're not.
And then do you see those flags sooner now? You think you can recognize them
Oh,
a little
hell
more?
yeah. Hell yeah. The only thing about that is I'm single. Now that I see these
Now there's flags everywhere.
yeah.
Well, at some point you see somebody without a flag and you're like, wait a minute. Anywhere
Look,
checking
look,
for
I'm at the point where they don't have a flag. That's a red flag. Okay, something has to be wrong with you.
Where's your flag? Or you have it hidden in your pocket?
Exactly.
On the subject of money and debt, your relationship with just like, spending habits. Do you like to save for big purchase items? Do you kind of like keep track of every penny? What's kind of your relationship with money and debt?
There's room for improvement. I'm doing okay, but I'm not doing well. I have this thing for a long time, like kind of like live for the day because I don't know if tomorrow's going to be here type thing. So I'm actually more in belief that tomorrow will be here. So I'm saving a lot more now. There was a time where it's like as soon as I get it, it was already planned on what I was going to spend. Oh, I want to go to the Bahamas. Yeah, I know I should wait and save, but I can save and wait for next year and not make it to next year. It was like, if you knew that you were going to die the next day, would you have a salad or would you have a steak? For your last meal. So yeah, there was a point where I was pretty reckless with money because I was really good at making it, but I wasn't good at saving it. Now I'm a lot better, but that's also part of the codependency. Once I got a handle on that and not putting others' needs before me, it's like, the word no is in my vocabulary a lot more.
Well, that was making me think about like, oh yeah, if you could know the date that you die, like people debate that sometimes, like, would you want to know? Would you want to know what day you die? Of course I would want to know, because then I could eat steak up until then, and I would know exactly how to financially plan for it. You go and take the trips, all the trips you want.
Exactly.
You see all the people you want to see. It would be like an incredible final, you could just plan it out how you wanted to plan it out.
I would love to know my expiration date. I would totally love to know that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Because I don't want to go with like a plate of Brussels sprouts that I just finished.
Right. When you could have had the tomahawk.
And a huge savings account that I've been chipping into just to make sure I can pay for retirement.
Right. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to leave things to my nieces and so forth, but I want to enjoy some of it too, so there's that.
Sarah, you look surprised.
Yeah, I'm like, I would not want to know. I feel like that's a more common answer. I would not want to know when I'm going to die. Just sneak up and surprise me. I don't want to know.
Lindsay, are you the same?
I feel like I would not like to know, but maybe have somebody like my husband know. So then he can be like, yeah, go ahead, have the steak. Or like, yeah, we'll do this or that.
And then
I don't want to know exactly when.
But then like every time your husband told you to have the steak, you'd be like, are you not telling me something?
Exactly.
I needed to be a little bit removed. No, I don't think I'd want to know.
That's weird. The astrologers don't want to know the future of what's going to happen.
That's the definition of irony. Yeah.
When we were up at the NORWAC conference together, there was a class you could take on like the astrology of death and determining like death transits. And I was like, no way. I don't want to know.
I did take that lecture.
Oh, you did. You did.
I did. Gosh. It was very complicated. I wouldn't be able to just do it by looking at the charts.
There was this thing online with Lisa Left Eye Lopez from TLC about how she actually predicted her death.
Wow.
And she was right?
I mean, the way they set it up, the story of the editing, I don't know. I wasn't there, but I just saw it. I was like, oh, okay, because it was through numerology. It was really interesting.
Wow.
I just stay on my fractions and multiplication. I can't go that deep into because numbers are infinite. So yeah, I already have enough stuff going on up here.
We've dipped into some numerology on this show. I'm like, when you're looking for numbers, sure enough, those are the numbers you see.
Well, that's like the red card theory, yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, it's just like if I'm thinking about red cars, I notice them all. I didn't know there were so many red cars around here. For health and self-care, any like health issues or, something that's reoccurring that has been an issue for you, and any self-care that you do that you find especially beneficial?
I'm fortunate, knock on wood, that my numbers are good, even though my weight fluctuates. I'm fortunate that I still try to be conscious of what I put in my body, what my best habit is water. I'm a water drinker. Like I water, water, water. Like I have a gallon thing right next to me. Yeah. So I'm a water drinker. And I even like I'll overeat salad. You know what I mean? Like I will overeat salad. I don't like fried stuff much, deep fried much and things like that. So I do pay attention to what I put in my body. I may put a lot of healthy stuff in there, but yeah, that self-care for me, my plants, I love gardening. I can't wait to have a house again in a backyard where I can like plant my food because that's something I learned growing up. I have a place full of plants. I spend time with my doggo here, and that's self-care. I do meditation, and I take a lot of like different classes and so forth, and groups on self-betterment and things like that. Especially like codependency. Really, now I'm really digging deep into that because that's pretty much eaten up most of my life, and it's very liberating and freeing. One, to know that's what the issue is. Well, one of the issues are with me and me working on that. So yeah, and then nothing beats a bubble bath. Nothing beats that. I guess, yeah, I love water. Yeah.
Very soothing. Unless you're stuck in the ocean and you don't want to be. The water can stop being soothing at a certain point.
I love the water. I don't want to drown in it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like a little bit of water is very nice, but then you see what water can do when there's a lot of it headed in one direction.
How powerful it is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Very humbling. We think that we can control nature sometimes. We cannot.
Well, yeah. I've lived through a pretty big natural disaster, and it was very humbling. It was mind blowing. Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, I was going to say time period for that.
The Northridge quake.
Oh, what year was that?
What was it called? I
the
can't
Northridge quake.
I can tell you.
Yeah, you can tell us the year that happened. It was 94.
Okay.
Oh, is that the one that? No, that's not the one that interviewed. Or that wasn't the Bay Area one that stopped the World Series.
No, that was a 70.
Okay.
71, I think it was.
Wait, no, because I remember I was watching
and
the
then it was
World
another
Series.
one after that. Where the bridge collapsed on the other bridge. That one.
That was the Bay Bridge. And there was the World Series game going on between the A's and the Giants.
Oh, there were?
It was the Battle of the Bay, and I was watching on TV, and I was in California, and I felt the quake, and also the game stopped because there was an earthquake during the game.
Ah, okay, yeah.
I want to say it was 88, maybe?
86, maybe.
80s, maybe.
And the Northridge earthquake was January 17th, 1994.
And McKay's birthday.
And so how were you affected by that? Was there any destruction to your property or anything?
So we didn't have any structural damage per se, as far as our home. However, the walls that were the dividing walls, the center block walls that the valley is known for, they were crumbled. It was everything fell off the shelves and off the wall. The thing that affected more, one, it being scary when it happened. Two, there was no power, there was no water, there was no light. It was weird. Like the moon wasn't even shining then. It was just like pitch black. It seemed like it was just pitch black. I do like the fact that people pulled together a lot during that time. Because we went to the closest school and the Red Cross was there, and it was younger kids there that were just like terrified. There was a neighbor that my mom They were like the, what is it? The McCoys and the Hatfield. Yeah. The Hatfield McCoys. They even got along during that, So, but yeah, it was a very humbling experience because it's like 1 second, that's why I took the vacation. 1 second, everything is fine. And the next one, you never know what happened. We were able to go back home not too long ago because, you want to make sure that there's no gas leaks and things like that, because it's not just the earthquake, it's the effects or the side effects, stuff that are, could be fatal.
So even if I had solar on my house and lost electricity from the grid and my battery kicked in the way it's supposed to, I still couldn't be at home due to a possible gas leak, you're telling me?
I mean, you could. I mean, my high school boyfriend at the time, his father was going through every room lighting a match saying, I'm okay. True story.
Wow. The last 12 months, if you had to pick sort of a theme, like an area of life that maybe would describe the last 12 months, is there anything in particular?
There's been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of growth this past 12 months. Like I've grown into an adult this past 12 months. I've really had to swallow some horse pills about myself. And it wasn't like arrogance or ego that kept me from realizing these things. It was just ignorance, you know. A lot of growth and a lot of self-work. And I would say this year, as far as like emotionally and psychologically, I'm doing great. Now I have to catch up in other aspects, financially and physical health, but I'm on the right track. And, I feel like once my mental is together, everything else is going to fall in place. But it was a tremendous year of growth. I think I grew like 12 years in this 12 months.
Do you attribute that to anything in particular? Being able to grow that much? So that our audience and our hosts can copy your secrets?
Well, I wish I had a secret recipe for it. I was looking at, like, as I was looking at my relationships, and me being a variable. And when I was with my husband and passed away from alcoholism, I came across Al-Anon. And I was going to start an Al-Anon. Life happened, I didn't, and so forth. And down the line, my very last qualifier, and we were only seeing each other for about a month because I noticed the red flags earlier, but I was like, here I go again, attracting another one. So I started to Google and I found some 12-step programs for codependents and things like that, and granted they're anonymous, but I'll share my story with it. So I started with those, and even with therapy, I thought I was getting to know myself. These 12 steps really break it down, and you see yourself in ways that I didn't even see myself.
That's especially telling your story in front of a group too, and just camaraderie, right?
Yeah, the sharing is part of, the sharing is, you share we refer to it as, our strengths and our hopes, you know what I mean? And our experiences, strength and hope. And when you listen to other people, it's like, oh, that's how they dealt with that. Oh, wait a minute, I've done that. Oh, that's what that was when I did that. Yeah.
I feel like it's one of the common denominators of like growth is realizing that you're not alone, that other people go through this too.
Yes, that is it. And even before that, I've known people that went through it. But it's different when you are talking, I guess, more than one, because I have friends that have gone through things and we can relate. It's not the same as it is in those rooms. You know what I mean? It's not the same. You have people from all walks of life, and all of their stories are different yet the same. So and then each one of them has different pearls, so it's like, with the friend, yes, you can get a few pearls from your friend, get a few pearls from this friend, but like you're like pearl mining in those rooms. Yeah. And then, the more meetings you go to, the more pearls you are able to take away with you. And like I say, it made me really, like, I was kind of in denial of being a codependent. You know what I mean? And it's like my first couple of months in recovery from my codependency addiction, I was almost about to relapse and I didn't even realize it because my last qualifier lives in Tampa, and Hurricane Milton was, going through. And my first thought was, even though we weren't speaking and we went our separate ways and no contact, I wanted to reach out. And I stopped myself because I had to say, why am I really, here I go trying to control something again, trying to control someone else's outlook and outcome and so forth. What am I gonna do? Stop the hurricane? So I really I didn't do it. Had I not been in those rooms, I would have done it because that's what I do. Those are my habits.
Definitely. And you describe yourself as being a very social person on the survey. Is that must be hard, like a push and pull of wanting to get more involved sometimes with people that you shouldn't necessarily?
Well, it was not anymore. So now I know how to get involved. I know how much to get involved. I know how to invest and how much to invest. Before, I would just pour all in. Now it's like, servings.
Mm-hmm.
Portion control.
Well, my last question before I hand it over to the astrologers who might have some follow-ups and some specifics is media recommendations. Algorithms are determining our lives these days. It's always nice to talk to another person and find out what books or music or movies or shows or, anything that you find especially, good to you that you would recommend to us.
Well, I love Latin music, Latin dance, salsa, merengue, bachata. You know what I mean? I'm into Latin couples dance. Totally into that. As far as media, I find myself watching the old shows over and over again because I can't really get into this new housewives of wherever age. I just don't vibe it. I want to see talent. I want to see fuckery. It's like, yeah. So I've been just binge watched The Wire right now, and I binge watched The Sopranos, and like the original ones that I binge watched Game of Thrones over and over again. Golden Girls, Sex and the City, the original shows, and I think maybe it's because it was like a coming of age for me, and so forth. But they grasp my attention. I try to newer ones, but I'm an old fart and not old relate to it anymore. I don't know. But yeah, Latin music. I'm into photography, so you'll find me on different photography sites trying to learn different tricks and f-stops and so forth. And I get lost in dog videos, dogs doing silly things, and cats and dogs and animals. And I am an animal lover. I haven't volunteered in a minute at the shelters. I'm going to start back doing that. So yeah, see me, animals, plants, salsa music, and photography.
That's right. I remember the plants. Whenever we were working at the stores together, Hameedah was just hoarding plants. She couldn't finish a shift without finding another plant that she was going to take home with her.
And I would. And I'm looking at them right now, and you would be amazed how much they've grown in that short time. And I have grow lights on them with humidifiers and everything. So I took my codependency and taking care of other people and controlling into my little self-care oasis because my plants it's therapeutic for me. And it's actually a mirror to my life. If my plants are healthy and growing and thriving, so am I. That means I'm not depressed and I'm not down and I'm tending to them. If they start whittling, it's showing me what's going on with you. You know what I mean? What's happening? You're not caring for them like you usually are. So yeah, it's a mirror.
All right, astrologers, what do you think?
I just wanted to make a quick relevant plug since you are such a plant lover. There is a website you might like called Resting Plant Face. She's actually a listener of this show, but she does the most beautiful concrete planters and accessories. So anyone who's into plants should check out Resting Plant Face.
REST.
Yeah. Yes, I have many of her pieces. They're very, very cool. So I do have some questions. And Lindsay, do you have questions as well?
One or two. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead?
Okay, sure. Hameedah, you mentioned you were spiritual. Do you have any particular spiritual influences that you find especially like dear to your heart or inspiring?
Reiki.
Mm-hmm. Like receiving, giving?
Receiving and giving. So I've never fully like treated someone with Reiki, like session, like outright session. I did it for me. I am attuned to teach and provide sessions and so forth and give Reiki. I think I do energetically in a different way, not like an actual session where we do the hands on and so forth. But I did it for me, and it led me to where I am. And it's the principles and they are in line with me and who I am. And I find comfort in that because, when I do my meditation, it's like a self Reiki therapy I do as well at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And do you meditate daily?
I'm sorry?
Do you meditate daily?
Yes. Now, how long I meditate varies because I can start a meditation and then my buddy here says it's time for me to take him for a walk, so he'll interrupt, he'll scratch the record on that, sometimes. But yeah, every day I do, every day, every morning and every night. And I try to do it in between.
Okay. How long were you married?
10 years, 11 years, a long time. About 10 years. It was 10 years.
Okay. And you said physically your health isn't the greatest, but do you have any other symptoms?
Well, like I said, my numbers are fine. It's just my physical health. My numbers are great. My cholesterol, like sugar and everything, they're good, thankfully, and I want to keep them that way. So I'm doing a lot better. But physically, definitely, dropping some fat and building some muscle will help with the better quality life, because I do enjoy, hiking and things like that. I just need to be able to do it without fainting.
Because you said your energy levels tend to be low.
Yes.
And how long has that been your experience?
I would say they were low up until recently. They've picked back up. So I say within the past 6 months, they've increased a lot. But prior to that, I was always sluggish.
Okay. Would you say you feel sluggish, but you're busy? Like you do a lot, but you just feel tired?
Yeah, like right now I feel tired.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go to sleep because I'm going to go and walk him, and then I'm going to feed him, and then I'm going to wash the dishes. But, in my mind, I would love to be asleep right now. And then when I finish all of that and I want to go to sleep, guess what? Doink, I'm going to wake up.
Yeah. And you said your decision-making process, like sometimes it's hard to make decisions. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
How do I even explain that?
Why is it difficult?
So at one point it was difficult because I was always considering the qualifier, being codependent. Now it's much easier because I just consider me and my dog. This codependency is like it's like when you swim underwater and you can see underwater, but then when you come out, you can see a lot clearer. It's like I'm no longer swimming underwater. I can see things so much clearer now. And it took for me to have to face myself to do that.
Any other questions, Lindsay?
Not for now, no.
Okay, cool. You answered some of my questions, so that's great. Okay, I wanted to see if you, Hameedah, had any like fears or phobias.
Claustrophobia.
Okay. Like more so than I feel like a lot of people, like I have that, but I don't think about it that much unless I'm going to get like like a CAT scan or something. Is that something that, how, like, I guess how pronounced is that for you?
So I can do like a MRI or a CAT scan if I know how long I'm going to be in there. So I can calm myself for that. But if I'm like somewhere and I don't know how long I'm gonna be in a tight space, yeah, it freaks me out. I mean, I watch like Dirty Jobs and he's in these tight. I was like, there's no way I would try to squeeze through there. I was in Egypt and I didn't go into tombs because I didn't go through because I was scared of I didn't know how long that small space was and how long I would be in there. Yeah. So it's not prominent, it's not
Okay.
like elevators and things like that. I mean, like if I'm in a crowd and like people are shoulder to shoulder with me, it triggers me.
Okay. Okay, good. Are you a prankster?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I don't go outrageous like these ones I see online, but yeah, I've always been that.
Okay. So I want to ask about health again. Have you ever been prone to inflammation, rashes, redness, things like that?
There was a time I started getting hives for a moment. It was short lived, thankfully, but it was right after I had like a medical procedure.
Okay. And do you find it hard to sit still? Are you restless?
Like I'm going crazy right now.
Okay. Okay. Are you the type of person, like I actually do this, but when you're sitting still, do you like shake your leg or something like that?
So I'm shaking my foot right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to do it to where what doesn't make the rest of me shake. If I'm standing, I can't just stand. I sway.
Have you ever had any minor issues or procedures regarding like your hands, arms, legs, or kidneys, anything along those lines?
My left leg, yes.
Okay. What was the issue there?
Partial paralysis from injury.
Partial paralysis. How long did that last?
It's improved. So before I had like 0% like in my ankle and my foot. Now I'm at like 80%. So that was about 20 years.
Oh, wow. So that made it difficult for you to walk?
Yes.
Okay.
It's difficult to walk, stand, hence difficult to do a lot of physical activities where physical activities was once a dream of mine. I loved playing volleyball and basketball and different sports.
What was the injury? Because I'm not sure. I can't remember if we had that on the survey.
It was a gunshot injury.
Oh, no. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you. Usually people ask, well, who did it? I was like, well, I didn't get their name. Fuck, how do I know who did
Wow. Well, wow. Yeah, that sounds really painful and difficult. But yeah, I definitely can relate. I have some issues around walking.
I was fortunate
well.
it didn't hit the bones or any major vessels, but it hit some nerves.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's lucky.
Big dive, save lives. No.
Yeah. I think I had one other question. So on the survey, you said that a loved one passed away October 18th, 2023, but can you tell us the relationship? Who was that person?
It was my heart dog.
Oh, it's a dog?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay. Sorry.
And I'm pretty sure that is everything. I guess the last question, do you happen to know off the top of your head the date of that injury with the gunshot?
It was January, I want to say January 3rd, 2003.
January 3rd, 2003. Okay. I think that's all my questions.
All right. Well, you have shared so much with us. You've given them plenty to work with. They're going to take a quick little huddle and kind of compare notes with each other. And I'll put you in the waiting room for that. And then we'll bring you back in and see if they picked the right birth date using the information. Yeah. So we're going to give you 5 minutes or so to 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll bring you back in, and we will see if they got it right. Okay.
Okay, so what do I do? Just hang out?
Hang out. You can walk. You can finally move around. And then I'm sure it'll like ding or something when I try to pull you back from the waiting room, and then we'll
cool.
resolve things. All right. Okay, we'll see you then. Okay, astrologers, discuss. You have 5 minutes.
What do you think, Sarah?
I still feel like it's the Gemini for a lot of reasons. Well, what's on the top of my mind right now is as we were going through the interview, I started looking at the Mars in the Gemini chart. We've got Mars in Leo, a fire sign, in a day chart with an air sun. And it's at the top half of the chart. And so I was realized, and there's a fire moon. So all of those combinations together can make for a person who has a really hot Mars, and they can be very prone to like hives and redness and things like that. Whereas in the other chart, it's not quite a configuration that pronounced. So that was really, and just like all the kind of Gemini things, like having a hard time sitting still. When she's talking about her career is basically helping people with homes, Cancer, 10th house, but also the Gemini, like she's very like data oriented. She Googles everything. She'll like overhear someone at the salon and go, be like, I was like listening and I want to solve your problem. Like that feels very Gemini. So how about you? Is that the way you're leaning?
I can see in some ways like a flavor of the other chart, but I did still feel that the Gemini chart is hers. The Pisces chart has a Cancer rising.
Yeah.
The Gemini chart has a Cancer midheaven with Venus right on the midheaven. And I don't know if you look at part of fortune is in the 10th house and in Cancer. And so I was looking at, just really that aspect, how passionate she was about caring for others, being in real estate at all. Building relationships. There was a lot of focus on building relationships. I definitely felt the youthful, fiery kind of energy of the Leo moon and the Aries moon. The Leo Mars and the Aries moon, and then so much came out that just felt very Gemini for me.
The trickster.
Also that she's a teacher in her workplace. Yes, yes, the trickster for sure.
Yeah. And so with the Pisces chart, what did you feel like maybe was drawing your attention in that way?
For the Pisces chart, there were a few things that, I was looking for some, Aquarian kind of indicators, and she was talking about how she loves technology and doing volunteer work. And so some of that was resonating, also being in a role of responsibility in her family. Both charts could represent in both charts. In both charts, also the North Node is conjunct Uranus, which is also describes an affinity for technology and leading edge kind of thought and innovation. So they were both there. And then when I asked, I was hoping maybe to get more of a confirmation through the question around spiritual teachers, and she said Reiki. And so Reiki and Pisces energy, for me, there's a link there for sure. It's a very intuitive practice. But yeah, I still think I still feel more leaning towards, when she said, for example, I can't keep my mouth shut, I can't stop talking. Even that, but even the Pisces chart has a Mercury conjunct Venus, so there can be quite a talkative quality there. But it did feel more of a Mercury and Gemini kind of energy here.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because the Gemini chart has Venus in Cancer, and that happens to be the chart ruler. It's ruling the ascendant. So either way, you're going to get a big Cancer vibe.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
for
so,
sure.
yeah, the things that you kind of that drew you to the Pisces chart were like kind of the same things that I wrote down, like the Reiki and the responsibilities at an early age can be like that real Cap Moon and Saturn in the first, and then the Cancer rising, that nurturing. But I also felt like so much she talked so much about like codependency, which can definitely be like that Libra Aries access. And then just like she's really trying to find herself now, and be more. She talked about like codependency versus independency, which to me was very like Libra Aries access.
Also South Node in Taurus with Jupiter in the eighth house, with Venus as the ruler there. Just a lot of, and that can also point to just being the rock in the family, being the one that was relied on to be the caretaker. And when I was describing this chart before today, I described the first chart as the caretaker, a youthful caretaker.
Yeah, a youthful caretaker, and
so, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel pretty sold
Like
on
we're
that.
feeling aligned.
Yeah. And when I looked at all the transit, I did sit down and look at the transits for all the charts, and I did feel like some of the transits worked for the Pisces charts, but I felt like they all worked for the Gemini chart. Yeah.
All right, I'm hearing some consensus. Astrologers on the same page.
Yes.
All nodding along, looking happy. Okay. Well, if we got it figured out, then we'll take a break and then bring our guests back and see if you're right. Which one are you guys going with?
Gemini.
Okay, both in agreement. All right.
Yes.
Confirmation. Okay, we will be right back and see if, in fact, Hameedah is the Gemini right after this.
Hey, Astro Detective listeners, this is your resident astrologer, Sarah Hartshorn, and I wanted to let you know about my coaching practice called My Cosmic Coach, where I offer natal astrology readings, human design readings, and a whole lot more. And right now, for fans of the Astro Detectives podcast, I'm offering $25 off my signature one-on-one coaching session. This is a holistic approach I developed that will guide you through any kind of decision you're trying to make or challenge you're navigating, where we're going to consult both your human design and astrology charts and even pull a few cards too. And you'll walk away with really clear, really practical, and actionable advice that is aligned and specific just to you. So head on over to mycosmiccoach.com and use promo code AstroDetectives at checkout when you book a one-on-one coaching session with me. That's mycosmiccoach.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We are joined again by our guest, Hameedah, and her special pooch friend, who has been so quiet and so well behaved. Who are we looking at here?
Hi, T.
Oh, so cute. What's his name?
His name is T. That was what they named him in the shelter, and I never changed it. And I figure he's been through enough changes.
Oh,
So it's
Yeah,
T?
he's a rescue.
T is the name?
Just the letter T.
The letter T. It could stand for anything. It leaves open possibilities.
Little Mr. T.
See, and this is a reason why listeners sometimes want to check out our YouTube channel, because you could see the adorable dog. All right, but we're not here just to admire adorable dogs. We're here to test astrology. So this is that magical moment where the astrologers have listened to all of the details about Hameedah's life, which she shared so eloquently, and they think they've picked the winner out of two charts, two birth dates. They think they've got yours figured out.
yes. Hameedah, just to let you know what we're choosing between, we had the choice between a Gemini and a Pisces. And Hameedah, are you a Gemini?
Oh, are you nodding no?
I'm not a Gemini.
Oh, are you a
you
Pisces? Okay,
Wow.
surprise.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Well,
These are the fun ones that we learn from.
I know. Yeah. That's where it's got. These are the fun ones.
But
And we
Gemini,
love to-
isn't that like my sister sign or something like that for Pisces? The duality, the yin? No? Okay. I don't know.
Well, we get into the details on it. Hameedah, are you able to stick around for a little short after show that we do? It's like 15 or so, 20 minutes or so. All right, great. Before we leave this one, is there any place you want to send listeners? Anything you want to plug? If they want to hear more from you, is there any place they can go?
I mean, I'm around, if you have any questions about investing, in real estate, buying your first home or your first apartment for you in an apartment complex, you can reach out to me. My name is unique, Hameedah Tirado. There's no other one in the world, if you Google me, you'll be able to contact me. That's it. I don't have any special plugs or anything.
All right. That'll be her name will be in the show notes, all spelled out.
And Lindsay, where can people reach you for a reading?
So my website is Divine Origins Wellness, and I offer consultations, coaching, and also hypnotherapy and past life regression hypnosis.
All right. And that's it, everyone. Let us know what you thought by commenting on whatever platform you follow us on. Links to our accounts are in the show notes. If you like the show and you would like to support it, you can visit patreon.com/AstroDetectives. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss the next episode. Rate and review and tell your friends. And this conversation continues on the Patreon-only debrief. And until next time, this case is closed.